Hey guys, it's been a long time in new environment, I know, as you can see, because me and my girlfriend that you know from a lot of my skits, we now have our own place. And I stopped doing videos mainly because I ran out of ideas and a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes that I don't want to talk about. But today I was playing Injustice 2 and an idea finally popped in my head of a video that I wanted to do for you guys. So I decided to do an Injustice 3 character wish list. So as you guys know, on Netherealm Studios, all of their social medias, they confirmed that they are no longer supporting Mortal Kombat 11. No more DLC is going to be done. So Mortal Kombat 11 can be considered dead, but it's still a hell of a lot of fun to play. But again, no more DLC is going to be coming from MK11, even though there was a bunch of rumored leaks about a Combat Pack 3 and a few extra skin packs. But now we know that MK11 has now fully run its course, and now we don't actually know what the next game from NetherRealm is, but just yesterday I read an article about how Injustice 2 got an update just recently, which is kind of, at first it confused me because Injustice 2 has not had an update, I think, since Fighter Pack 3 came out. And then I did some digging and I found out that they put in the files things to show in-game advertisements. And just today when I started playing, it was showing an advertisement for a DLC where you can use, where you don't have to spend source crystals to transform gear. So a lot of people are speculating that that is going to be used to advertise NetherRealm's next game, whether it's a Marvel game, Injustice 3, but if it's going to be advertised in Injustice 2, then the chances of it being a Marvel game are unlikely because, as you know, Injustice is a DC Universe-themed fighting game. So, not really much else to say about, like, what's the status on the next game from NetherRealm. So, without much else to say, I'm going to begin my wish list of characters that I want to see for Injustice 3. Now, this will not include guest characters or Mortal Kombat characters, because the past two games have had guest characters. Well, Injustice 2 had a bunch of guest characters, while Injustice 1, the only guest character they had was Scorpion, but Injustice 2 saw Sub-Zero and Raiden. So for my wish list, this will include some characters that may have been DLC, so if I mention past DLC characters, I'm not saying that they're going to be DLC. I'm saying them for the base roster when the game comes out. I don't know who is a good choice for a pre-order bonus, so that will not be featured. So first, I'm going to say Azrael, Michael Lane's Azrael. Character that I feel that really does fit in with the Injustice universe. Like, I feel like he was a character that when Injustice 2 was still releasing characters, one of the shadows in that teased the other two fighter packs really looked like the Arkham version of Azrael, and I feel like Azrael would be a very fun addition. Like, you could have, if they don't do gear next time for Injustice 3, but I doubt that they're just going to up and ditch the gear system after it's been in Injustice 2 and MK11, I would say have the Arkhamverse Azrael and maybe the Nightfall batsuit that he wore when he became Batman while Bruce Wayne was currently recovering after his fight with Bane. So Azrael is my first addition. The second one is Shazam. I'm saying him because, yes, I know he was killed in Injustice 1 by Regime Superman, but Injustice 2 saw the introduction of the multiverse. So they can do the same thing that they did with Green Arrow in Injustice 2 by having Bruce Wayne bring in a Green Arrow from an alternate Earth. So they could do that with Shazam. And next, I'm going to say Lex Luthor, because to me, he was a lot of fun to play in Injustice 1. and didn't really have any like really skins to choose from, but I thought his kryptonite suit was pretty cool looking, and he did have a very big role in Injustice 1 up until his death. But again, multiverse, they could bring in another Lex. I don't know if it'll be it doesn't really matter to me if it's the good one that worked for the insurgency in the first game or if it's just the classic evil Lex that we all know. Next is Red Hood, because who doesn't like Red Hood at this point? He's probably one of the more favored characters in the Bat family. And he was introduced in Justice 2, and I feel like as a base character, he could play an important part in the story depending on which ending from Injustice 2 is canon, so that they could bring Jason Todd into the storyline and basically have him fight amongst the new Justice League. I mean, Red Hood inside of the Justice League would probably be pretty sick, but if it's the Red Hood that kills, if that's the Red Hood that they're using, then I really don't know. I mean, I'd like to see him in the story and like have like some tension like there is between Bruce and Damian, like with how Jason likes to kill. There could be like some dialogue between the two about how Jason needs to stop killing. And if they don't do gear, so like if they do like special skins, I would say give him the Arkham Knight skin from Batman Arkham Knight, because we did get the Arkham Knight in Injustice per se, because he's a character in both the mobile versions of Injustice 1 and 2. So again, Red Hood, maybe an Arkham Knight Premier skin. Next is going to be another highly requested character that I believe a lot of people wanted, and he was actually considered to be the main antagonist before Brainiac in Injustice 2, and that is Ra's al Ghul. Now, we've had a lot of sword-wielding characters like Scorpion, Deathstroke, Damian Wayne, and now I feel like Ra's al Ghul would be a hell of a lot of fun to play. Or maybe they could even make him the villain for Injustice 3, since they scrapped him for the second game. And in terms of his gameplay, I feel like he would play similar to Robin in Injustice 2, but just have more of his fighting style. Not sure what his character power would be. Maybe something to do with like Lazarus Pit like technology that can like heal him. Don't really know how they would do Ra's as a character. Next, I'm going to say Superboy, because we've got Superman, we've got Supergirl, so we might as well throw Superboy into the mix. One of the members of the Titans, and I feel like he would play a lot similar to Superman, but again, have his own unique abilities. Or even if he could just even work as a premier skin, but I'd actually prefer him more as a regular character. Same thing with Bizarro, because I know he's a premier skin in Injustice 2 for Superman, and yes, some of the abilities change, but another character slot just for Bizarro with all of his unique abilities would be good. So that way, not to make it seem like there'd be a bunch of Kryptonian-like characters, because I know we don't hardly have that many, so I feel like Superboy and Bizarro would help like make the whole Kryptonian side of the roster a little bit bigger. And next, I would say Deathstroke, because we never really knew what happened to him at the end of Injustice. But if I remember correctly, I don't recall him getting arrested with the Regimers, because he fought for the insurgency. So I'd like Deathstroke to be in Injustice 3, because we never seen how his story ends. I mean, in Injustice 1, I don't exactly remember what his ending was, but if I can actually remember, he makes his own league of assassins, basically, and he becomes probably the deadliest assassin group in the world, so he takes over the world with his assassins. Sorry if how I'm speaking is kind of like cringy. I haven't done this in a while. So again, Deathstroke for Injustice 3, so that way we could actually get more insight on where he's been since Injustice 2. We never heard of him. There's no mention of him whatsoever. Blue Beetle, I feel like he could return in Injustice 3 because he's actually let me start over. Blue Beetle and Firestorm, because they're the newbies in Injustice 2, like they're the new heroes. So maybe like if the like let's say the story takes place years later, so Jaime and Jason are like more matured and they've been doing the whole superhero thing for a while with the new Justice League with Batman and Supergirl. And so basically they're just new characters, so I feel like they're still fresh, so they could just be thrown into Injustice 3 as continued characters. Justice 3's next character, I would say Martian Manhunter. As again, he was DLC in Injustice 1, so I think he'd fit in with the default roster. Not sure how you'd be able to customize him with gear, but again, he would be a good part of the storyline, like joins the new Justice League, because he didn't play a role in either of the storylines, so to actually bring him into the story for Injustice 3 would be kind of needed, because we kind of need some past characters to come back. Excuse me. Let's see who else. Okay, I want to get this one out, Beast Boy, because this is a character that, especially fellow YouTuber Uncaged Games, like, is probably one of the most highest demanding people to have Beast Boy, but I think he's probably one of the most highly requested characters to be put in Injustice 3, or let alone Injustice in general, because the only like appearance that he makes in Injustice 2 is one in Cyborg's ending, and two as a assist character in the multiverse. So I think it's finally time that we give Beast Boy a proper introduction into the Injustice universe by actually making him a part of the Injustice 3 roster. Just gotta take some time to think. Okay, Darkseid, because he was the pre-order bonus for Injustice 2, and he's just like how he normally is, hates Superman, but in his ending it stated that Superman killed Darkseid's son Calibac. So maybe in Injustice 3, if Superman escapes the Phantom Zone and Darkseid comes to Earth and he wants revenge against the Man of Steel for killing his son. So if they don't do Ra's al Ghul, maybe Darkseid would be an ideal choice for the main antagonist in Injustice 3. As I feel like he would be a better final boss than Ra's al Ghul. Not saying that Ra's al Ghul wouldn't be a good final boss, but Darkseid, he's like he considers himself a god, and he would be a good like story antagonist and a final boss. And like if they do another multiverse, I know I'm saying characters that were in the past roster, but I'm also trying to bring back some ones that were either dead or just made half-ass appearances. But I'm going to throw in Green Lantern, because why the hell not? Everybody loves Hal Jordan, so we could throw him into the mix. Not much to say, because he was featured both as an important character in both the first and second game storylines. Next, I'm going to say maybe Deadshot, in like, because we don't really have like enough mercenaries, so we could throw in Deadshot and like pit him against Deathstroke. Like, he doesn't have to be like a important character, but he could have a significant role like he did in Injustice 2. Or they can give him a bigger role, because like 1 minute he's a member of the society and then he's just gone for the rest of the storyline. So maybe bring back Deadshot and give him a better story arc. I might end up making a part 2 to this if I think of any other characters. Perhaps Amazo. I mean, yes, he might seem an overpowered ass character. I'm not sure, because I don't know much about Amazo. All I know is that he's a superhuman android that is constantly being controlled by many different characters. Not sure who, because again, I'm not familiar with the Amazo character much at all. So maybe throw him in, and Killer Frost was an okay character in Injustice 1. Didn't really play much of a role. She was in the regime. So maybe bring her back, because she didn't really like have that big of a role in the first game. No mention of her in the second. There is a reference to her in MK11 when you pit Joker against Frost. So possibly bring Killer Frost back into the fold as a more important character. Black Manta was pretty fun in Injustice 2. He can be easy to use at times. At other times, if you're trying to like learn like other combos, he can be a hassle. But throw Black Manta into the storyline as like a side villain that you fight during the storyline. And like, of course, have him on his revenge path against Aquaman for thinking that Aquaman killed his father. And let's see. I can't really think of any other characters at the moment. So if you guys have any suggestions for any other characters, like you can say guest characters or Mortal Kombat characters. Right now, I'm all out of ideas, and sorry if this video is not like what you're used to normally seeing, because again, I haven't done this in over a year. So once again, thank you guys for watching, and any suggestions, if you want me to do a part 2, leave some suggestions of characters and I will mention them in a part 2 of an Injustice 3 character wish list. And if Injustice 3 is announced, and if you're going to pre-order it, let me know who you think a good pre-order bonus could be, and I will see you guys in another video.